what I have here is a tidy Ordonnez. No, not Orthodontist, but Ordonnez. That's the brand name of it. 12-drawer rolling cart, and this is not going to be something to put a bunch of heavy tools in by any means, but it's something I can use to organize some of the stuff from up here in the loft. I end up with a lot of these kind of things, vinyl pieces that are too big to throw away because we have other uses for them, and I need a better way to organize them instead of throwing them all in a box and so on. And I've got some other small items I want to keep in this, and it's on wheels. We're going to put it together coming up. I'm Roger, welcome to the shop, actually the loft over the shop. This is where we do all of our 3D printing projects, die cutting, die sublimation, that type of thing. I also do a little bit of CNC up here, although most of the time I'll take them down in the shop because they make a lot of dust. Also do some laser engraving up here because it's a clean area. I just have to remember to disable the smoke detectors when I do it because it always sets them off. So, I'm going to get this thing unboxed and we'll see what there is to assembling it. I'm sure it's not that much. Yeah, let's see what we got here. Little sign on here, don't use a razor knife. I'm not using a razor blade. I'm also being very careful. Yeah, part of the bag on the inside got taped to the box here. I think you're actually supposed to take this out the end, but looking at the size of it, I figured this here would be a little bit easier. Good way to get to the directions too, right here. And this would be the top. Like I said, this is not a heavy-duty unit. It's light-duty, made for light things. So I wouldn't be trying to use this for a toolbox and load up a whole bunch of tools in it. And of course we have styrofoam. We have the drawers, and you can get these in all white too. You don't have to have the colors. I figured the colors would be a good way for me to sort of identify things. I'll probably still have to put labels on the front because I won't remember. And more styrofoam. Cardboard, styrofoam. Got an end. This looks like it's going to be pretty simple. The bottom rack. Hardware. Got the other end. And we got steel tubes. So let me get things cleaned up here and we'll see about putting this thing together. Okay, your parts come like this. They're all bagged up separately. Of course, the knobs are a little self-explanatory. You get various screws, you get a little alien wrench in there. That's an Allen wrench. And what they don't include with this, they say you are going to need, is a Phillips screwdriver, but I think I can handle that. The directions here are pretty much just pictures, and it's pretty simple and straightforward. So we're going to get going on this here. Something that's handy are these little metal parts trays. Magnetic. Well, the first thing we need to do here is take yonder pipes, put them like so. course, you don't want to tighten them up till you get everything kind of where you need it to be. These Allen wrenches, or alien wrenches as I call them, do work, but this is a lot easier. I have a whole set of these up here because we use them with the 3D printers and the CNC. I'm still not going to tighten these up all the way. I'm just going to snug them a little bit so they're not flopping around. Okay, the next step here is put the ends on, and you need to pay attention a little bit so you don't make a mistake. The end will go on either way. You can put it on this way, you can put it on this way, you can do this, you can do this. What you want to do is make sure that the grooves, which is where the drawers will slide right here, are lined up with the ones on the center bar. So you don't want to end up putting it on like this with the grooves facing out because you never get your drawers in. So you definitely want to pay a little bit of attention there. And just get this set in place, and same screws as you used on the pipes. You also want to look at your spacing on these. You could actually do it the other way around and have this off because the deep drawers go here down here on the bottom. Yes, this looks all rickety and everything, but that's because nothing's tight. Once again, this is for not loading up with heavy stuff. We're going to use it mostly to sort out some of our sublimation supplies, vinyl scraps, cleaning supplies. Do have a whole area over here, but that counter is always full of stuff. So I use it for a lot of, especially when we're doing sublimation on glass. I use that quite a bit over there. Here, do the other side, and there again, make sure you don't do this. Make sure the grooves are down facing the other side there. So there we are. I'm going to do a little twisting around here, put on a flat level surface. I've got it on my work table here. Make sure everything is square before you tighten anything up. Then go ahead and tighten the screws, but don't crush the pipes. I mean, you're not building a steel foundry or anything here, or iron foundry. You're just tightening up some bolts. Because you can over tighten, of course, especially with this, you'd be able to over tighten. Be a little harder to do with that little Allen wrench there, but yeah, just flip it over so we get the bottom ones, and while we got it upside down, I'll be putting the wheels on. They come in a package here with a hokey little wrench, and they just screw in. They give me this little bitty tiny stamped steel wrench that if you apply too much pressure with this, you're going to be going and getting a regular wrench because it'll break or bend. But all you really need to do is snug them up. This need to be super, super tight, or you're not trying to crush something there. Just want to keep it from coming out on its own. Two of the wheels have brakes. Two of them don't. I'm going to put the two with the brakes on this side. Although I probably will rarely ever use the brakes. And the last one here, and yeah, you probably hear some noise in the background. That's because I've got the window air conditioning unit running up here, because it is unseasonably hot. In fact, this is Friday, September 16th, and tomorrow we're actually supposed to set record high temperatures for this time of year, with temperatures in the 90s and humidity way up there like it was the 1st of August or something. So I think I'll spend my time out on the river tomorrow. Stay cool. Okay, that part. Get this thing flipped back up around. See what it looks like. So. And we'll get on with some drawers. Okay, I guess before we get to the drawers, I might as well put the top shelf on. This is very lightweight, very light duty. Don't be like trying to set an engine block or something on top of it. It just sets on there. Snaps on like so. And there's your top shelf. Now I'll get to the drawers. Okay, and being the typical male and not reading the directions all the way, I left out these little plastic spacers which go on these on the ends. There's 8 of them. Just a matter of spreading that out a little bit, sliding it in there. Little rubber, actually plastic bevel piece. The curved part goes towards the pipe. It looks pretty obvious. Okay, now we'll go on to the drawers. Okay, for the drawers, this is pretty self-explanatory, and I'm not going to shoot video while I put the knobs on all of these, but you have a little screw like this. Pops into the drawer from behind. Have a little plastic knob. Screw the knob on. Phillips screwdriver. Back and give it a little snug. So come back when I get all the knobs on. Okay, lastly, before I stick the drawers in, you have the option to put in a drawer stop so that once the drawer is in and you go to pull it out, it doesn't come all the way out. Whether or not you want that is up to you. The little plastic clips look like this. And the way this works, and I'll turn the card up here so this will be a little bit better view of it. Okay, once your drawer is in place, of course I've got this, everything's going to be this way to the front. You take your little clip here, and you'll see there's that little square cutout. Don't put it in the back one or you're not going to be able to open the drawer very far. You want it towards the front, whichever side you're using for the front. You simply put that in, squeeze a little bit, it'll snap in. Then when you go to open your drawer, it stops it so that it won't fall out. You only need to put it on one side. There's not enough of them to do both sides. The reason I'm going into detail on this is because when I did these other carts here, I had questions on it. It uses the same type of drawer stop, so I had the questions on it, so I thought I'd go into a little bit of detail here. If you do put them in and you decide you don't want them in, if you squeeze them real hard, you can take them back out, just like that. So that's an option for you. Now I'll get the drawer stuck back in here and see how this looks. So there's how it looks completed. And you have to push the drawers from the back. Another thought that if you had extra shelf or bench space, you could leave the wheels off of this to set it up on your bench, and you would have a, or counter or whatever, you would have a whole bunch of drawers. Be useful. And a couple other little detail things. Let me set this down and I'll kind of go over what it can't be used for. Okay, so what do these hold? They'll hold 8.5 by 11 paper just fine. If you happen to buy die-cut vinyl, these 12-inch squares like this, they will not fit in there. For that, you would need to get like one of my other carts here where we can keep the 12-inch square vinyl in. What it can be used for, we have folders such as this, which fit in here just perfect. And in these folders, we have different graphics. For example, there's one of our shop graphics, some of our supplementation patterns. We have pre-printed and keep in there. We have several of these folders with different types of projects in them, and this would be a good way to keep them organized instead of just piled up and then they get knocked on the floor. And tried putting them in one of the other drawers down there and they get all stacked out. It's a mess. So they're good for that. Another thing it's going to be obviously good for is when you have a lot of vinyl scraps like this. They're too good to throw away. There's a piece of transfer tape in there. But a lot of the smaller things we do, we'll use these smaller pieces of vinyl, and they store nice and flat in there just like that, instead of curling them up in a box and then trying to straighten them out later, because I've got a whole bunch of white pieces in there. Oh, Another thing that you can use them for, if you happen to buy and you're into doing die cutting and you buy your vinyl in rolls like this, these rolls fit in there just perfect. And you could put several of them across. We don't generally buy in small rolls like this, but they would fit. And we do buy our transfer tape in large rolls, and I think those would fit in the bottom drawers, the bigger drawers. We'll also use this to keep sublimation paper in. We have a couple different kinds we use there. We also have some stencil material where I die cut stencils that comes in 8.5 by 11. And of course I could keep 8.5 by 11 copy paper in there. I can keep spare ink in there. I can keep some spare little tools in there. But there again, this is not a heavy duty cart. It's not made for a lot of weight. But otherwise, for the money, and I think it was around $50 when I picked it up. It was on sale. I think it was $50. And I was originally going to build one in the shop downstairs, but for what I'm going to use it for, and all the trouble I'd have to go through to make all the drawers and all that, for something that light, this will work just perfect. And as far as the top shelf, I may set one of our supplementation printers on it or something. I'm not going to put the heat press on it because it weighs too much. So that's how you put one of them little carts together. Not all that bad, especially if you read the directions all the way through, so you don't have to go back and put parts in. But it wasn't difficult. Went together pretty quick. So if you got anything out of this, appreciate getting a thumbs up. It helps the channel. Wasn't Roger, not in the shop, but in the loft above the shop. Put the cart together. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.